Hi guys, welcome to my channel. In this tutorial we'll see how to make a crochet sweater using some Christmas patterns. So these are the block diagrams I made using Stitch Fiddle software app, and I have implemented those designs in the sweater. So this is pretty much customizable to any size, and yeah, let's see how to make this pattern. This is the block diagram I have used. If you see, there are like 40 columns and 36 rows, so which can be totally adjustable. I have some additional columns on the left as well as towards the right. If your size is small, you can reduce those columns, say make it 36 columns instead of 40 columns, or you can make it 34 columns as well. And similarly for the height also, you can increase the height to 40 rows instead of 36 rows, or if you are making it for a smaller size, you can reduce it to 34 rows. In that case, you have to reduce the space in between the four different patterns I have seen. So between the trees you can remove one row, and below the tree you can remove one row. So in that way you can adjust, and then you can work on this pattern. Here I am taking the big twist yarn. This is 100% acrylic yarn, which was about 1093 yards, and I have completely used this bundle for my sweater. So we would also need 60 to 80 yards of green yarn, red yarn, and very few yards, maybe 10 yards of black yarn. So these are the other colors we would need in addition to the primary color, which is pink here. And I'm using a 5 mm crochet hook, which is the perfect size for this yarn. You can use whatever yarn you would prefer, as well as the hook size mentioned in the yarn. So I will also give all these details in the description box so that you can go and check the details. So let's get started by making a slip knot. So first we are going to make the sleeves here, and for the sleeves we will do the ripping. So for that, make 11 chain stitches. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So skip the very first chain space, and into the second chain space make a half double crochet. For a half double crochet, yarn over, insert the hook into the loop, then yarn over. You have 3 loops on the hook, then yarn over and pull through all the 3 loops. This completes a half double crochet. So we are going to make 10 half double crochets. So I'm working on the last half double crochet. So one row is completed, and there are a total of 10 stitches here. Now make chain 1 and flip the pattern, and continue to make one half double crochet in each of the chain stitches. The chain you just made to turn is not considered as a stitch, so you need to skip that chain and then continue to make a half double crochet on top of each of the HTC in previous round. And also the stitches has to be on the back loop of the chain, as I show it here. It has to be on the back loop only. So make sure to complete 10 HTC, and so that you will not miss the last stitch. And at the end of every row, keep a count so that you have 10 HTC, and make chain 1, flip, and then repeat the pattern. So you have to make one HTC into the second chain from the hook only on the back loops. So I'm going to make 18 rows here. We just completed 2 rows, and here have completed 18 rows. So have you can check your size by bringing this pattern around your wrist and see if it fits. If it is not fitting you, then you can add few more rows, and if it is too loose for you, you can reduce the number of rows. For me the size was 18, so you can adjust based on your size. So now let's stitch together both the edges. For that, bring the other side of the pattern to match the chains on each side, and insert the hook into the back loop of the front panel and to the front loop of the other edge. So first it has to be back loop, then on the other side it has to be the front loop. In a similar way, insert the hook into back loop and then to the first loop, yarn over, pull through and make a slip stitch. So this is how we are going to connect all the 10 HTC stitches, and towards the end make sure to connect the last two chains as well from both the sides. Now we have made a round of this pattern. Let's continue to work on the hand part. For that, make chain 2 and then make a double crochet into the next stitch, then make another double crochet into the next stitch. So I'm gonna make 2 double crochets in each of the HTC, the horizontal HTCs. So that means I will have 18, there are 18 rows, right? So I will have 18 into 2, 36 HTC when completing this first round. So if you want the hand, if you want your hand panel to be very baggy, you can make 3 DC in each of the HTC rows. I just want my sweater to be a little fitting for me, and I don't want to be very puffy, so I just chose just 2 DCs. So here I have completed 36 DC, and we are going to close this round. So to close this seamingly, I'm going to remove the hook and insert the hook on top of the first DC. You will just skip the chains we did at the beginning. Don't consider it as a stitch. So now insert the hook into the working loop, grab the yarn and make chain 1 and then another chain. So this will be the starting point of every round. So make a DC into the same chain space. The first 2 chains are not considered as a stitch here. So continue to make 1 DC in each of the stitches all throughout this round, and I'm going to make 32 rows, which is ideal for my length. And again, you can measure your arm length, the length from your arm to your wrist, and adjust the rows accordingly. I'm working on the 32nd row here, and at the last DC of this round, close this round by using a seamless slip stitch as we saw earlier. So insert the hook into the chain on top of the first DC and then make chain 1 and pull about 10 to 15 inches length of yarn and then cut the yarn. So the idea behind this seamless slip stitch is the joints, right? So the join at each round will not be so visible. It will be like seamless. See, and you can adjust it if it is like lightly uh, not in line with the first round. I have made another panel for the hand, as you can see here. So the hand panels are complete. Again, you can adjust the length as per your desired size. So now let's work on the front panel of the sweater. So for the front panel, follow the same pattern as the sleeves for the ripping. So for the sleeves, I made 18 rows of HTC, 10 HTC in each row. So here I have made 40 rows. At the end of 40th row, I'm making 2 chains. This is the starting chain, which is not considered as a DC, and then continue to make 2 DC in each of the rows of HTC. So this will give us 40 into 2, 80 DC patterns, and my chart is also having 40 blocks. The color block pattern is having 40. So one block is equal to 2 DC pattern, because DC 2 DC makes a square pattern. I've completed row 1 here. So after finishing the first row, make 2 chains and flip, and continue to make 1 DC in each of the stitches. So we have 80 stitches in every row. And I'm gonna complete this row as well. So as you can see, I have completed 2 rows. We are going to introduce the color blocks now. For the color block pattern, let's take a look at the chart now. So the odd rows are considered as the right side, and the even rows are considered as the wrong side. So if you take a closer look at row 3, we are going to introduce color. So there is one red block here at the color block pattern is at the 8th stitch from the right towards left. So we are going to work 7 DCs and introduce the red color in the 8th stitch. So continue to work 7 stitches here. 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7th. We are at the 7th DC now. So do not complete the 7th DC. So just before the last yarn over pull through, we have to complete it with the red color yarn. The last yarn over pull through of the 7th DC should be done with the new color, the second color. So we are at the 8th stitch now. So 8th and 9th stitches need to be done using this red color, because 1 square equal to 2 DC stitches. So the second DC should not be completed because we need a color change. So for this, use the pink yarn and change the color. Let's quickly take a look at the color chart once again. So our next color change is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 blocks away from this red. So the 6th block is the green color. So we need to make 5 pink color stitches. That means 5 blocks, which is 5 into 2, 10. 10 pink stitches we need to make before we make the color change to green. So now I have completed the red color change and I'm working at the brown color, that is a tree trunk. So I'm introducing the color before this actual stitch, and then I'm gonna make 4 double crochet with brown yarn, because there are two brown blocks in the color block diagram. So at the fourth brown color TC, we are going to change the color back to pink one, our base color. So make sure you pull the tail end very tightly so that the stitches stay loose. Once we do this, just pull the brown yarn to make the stitch look tighter. Carrying the pink yarn along with this color change because we need this pink yarn everywhere. That is our base color, right? So we need to carry that yarn whenever there is a color change. But the respective colors, the brown, green and red colors, you can just leave the unused yarn right there. While working on the flip side, we will pick it from wherever we left. Like you can see here, I am working on the flip side of the pattern, that is the wrong side, which is the even numbered row. I have picked up the brown yarn from here and working on 4 DC stitches. At the fourth DC, I'm going to change the color. This is on the flip side, so you have to bring the yarn to the front side, not on the back side, and leave the brown yarn there itself. And we can actually cut the brown yarn because we are not going to use it any longer in this front panel. So I have followed the color block pattern to complete a few more rows here. As you can see, half of the tree has been completed and half of the flower has also been completed. So this is the flip side of the pattern where you have just loose ends hanging out wherever the color is. So I'm gonna show you how to hide those loose ends towards the end of this tutorial. So for now, let's keep working on the pattern. Here I have completed 13 rows and for each of the colors, right, wherever we don't have to carry the color, I have made a small bundle. So that is how the tapestry project works. If you want to have a more idea on how to do this tapestry pattern, you can refer to my other videos. I will provide the link in the description box. And that is how it is kind of very difficult to manage the threads, but we need to clear it as and when we complete one row because it is going to be very messy otherwise. So here let's take a look at the 14th row. I'm working on the flip side also. Let's hide the connecting threads as much as possible while working on the pattern. So now here I have to bring the red patch here to two DC stitches for which I am just bringing the thread from the previous round, and I'm going to hide those extending length of thread, extending piece of thread while making the DC stitch itself. And also at the same time I'm carrying the green yarn because I would want to work on the tree, right? So red color is just a patch, so that is how it has to be. So I will leave the working yarn of red color in the place of last DC and continue to work with the green color. And also notice that I have left the pink yarn before starting this green color because I have made a small bundle of pink yarn which is not carried throughout this tree. And we need to calculate like which place we need to carry the yarn and which place we need to leave the yarn. It is purely based on the design we choose, and we will get a hang of it as we start working on this tapestry projects. So once you know that one particular color is no longer be used, you can trim the yarn leaving about 5 to 6 inches length to sew it towards the end, and that will reduce the number of threads you have to handle while working on this pattern. Here I'm gonna leave the green yarn here itself. I'm not gonna carry it, though we have a green yarn on the flower, because it is going to be a longer stitches of pink yarn. So I'm using a separate green bundle for the flower. So that is how we have to manage. I have created one separate pink bundle for the first part of the stitches before the tree, and for the tree I have created one green bundle, and the red patches in the tree, that is a separate red bundle, and for the space between the tree and the flower I have one separate a pink yarn bundle. So that is how you can segregate the threads. Here I have completed the flower and the tree pattern. Now I'm gonna work on this Santa sleigh, which is using black color. So let us take a look at the chart now. So I have completed the 20 rows. I'm at the 21st row, which is the right side. So let us introduce the black color at the 20th row. So grab the tail end and pull it so tightly, leaving about 5 to 6 inches long, and I'm gonna hide the tail end while working on the stitches. So I would recommend you to print the chart for your convenience, and you can refer the chart while working on this front panel. And this black thread is going to be used only for the sleigh and not on the bauble, which is on the other side of this, which is on the top left side of this front panel. So I will just leave the black yarn here and then continue to work with the pink yarn. I will not carry this black. So changing color to pink yarn and continue referring to the chart to change the colors wherever is required, and I will see where once I complete this designs in my front panel. So I'm gonna complete 34 rows, and let us see how this front panel is looking. I've completed all the color change work. Now the work is going to be with the only pink yarn. So I'm gonna cut all the other colors, and we'll continue to work on 8 more rows on the pink yarn. Again, this height, right? So it is totally dependent on your desired length. You can measure your shoulder till your waist, and then decide on how many stitches you would need to cover that length. I have made 2 more rows here. in addition to the color patterns. So now let's work on the shoulder part of the front panel. For the shoulder part, so continue to start the next row with 2 chains and one daisy stitch in the same chain space, and one daisy in each of the next 25 stitches. Sorry, next 24. In total we need to have 25 daisy stitches. So here I am at the 25th daisy stitch. So next make chain 2 and then flip the panel, and continue to make one stitch in each of the one daisy stitch in each of the stitches. So this is the first daisy stitch in the same chain space as we did chain 2, and then next daisy stitch, continue till the end. I have made 8 rows in total. And after completing 8th row, you can just make chain 1 and leave about 15 centimeter length of the yarn and trim the yarn. So now we have to mark the 25th stitch from the leftmost end. So using a stitch marker you can mark the 25th stitch. So at the 25th stitch I have placed a marker. Now insert the hook into the 25th stitch, make chain 2 and one daisy into the same chain space. The chain 2 is not considered as a daisy here, and one daisy in the same chain space. Continue to make 25 daisy stitches in total. So at the end of this row, make chain 2 and then flip. Then continue to make 25 stitches. Repeat this pattern for 6 more rows. So in total we should have 8 rows for this shoulder panel. So once 8 rows are completed, make chain 1, pull up the loop and cut the yarn, leaving about 6 inches length here. And so you can repeat the same color block on the back panel, or you can use a different diagram as well, different design. Here I'm gonna use a plain black panel. So using the same pattern I have made a plain panel, and I'm gonna stitch both front and back panels together of the shoulder side. So keep the wrong side of the panels towards inside, and let us start stitching. For that use a tapestry needle. Bring the corner of the shoulders. Make sure the chain stitches on each side of the panels match together. So first insert the hook on the back loop of the at the back panel and to the back loop of the front panel. So next insert the hook into the back loop of the back panel and through the back loop of the front panel. So there are multiple ways to stitch together, like whatever you feel comfortable, whatever stitch seems seamless, you can use that. And similarly stitch on the other side of the shoulder as well. I have stitched together both the shoulder sides. Now let us work on the neck part of the uh, sweater. So for that, insert the hook at the back panel and leave insert the hook at the third chain space from the corner and make chain 2 and then make one DC stitch in the same chain space. Then make another DC in the next chain space. So now we have two chains left in that other edge. So in that two edge we need to make incomplete double crochet. This is second incomplete double crochet and this is the shoulder part. So for the shoulder part we have to work on two incomplete double crochets. This is basically shrinking the four corners of the neck. So this is our fourth incomplete double crochet. Now we have 5 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through all the 5 loops on the hook. Continue to work on one double crochet stitch in the next space. So we are working on the double crochet stitches, right? So for each double crochet stitch which is horizontal, we can work on 2 stitches. So continue to work this pattern till the next corner. So now we have one DC stitch, one horizontal DC stitch, so in which we are going to make 2 incomplete double crochet. This is our first incomplete double crochet and then make another incomplete double crochet at the bottom of the stitch, and then this is across the horizontal line of the neck. Here make one incomplete double crochet in the first chain space and the fourth incomplete double crochet in the second chain space. Now yarn over and pull through all the 5 loops on the hook. We have completed the second corner space of the neck. We have 4 corner spaces. So follow the same pattern to complete 2 more corner spaces. So this is our fourth corner space, and since we started leaving 2 chains at the beginning, right, so we are closing this round by making a slip stitch on top of the first DC and then continue to make 11 chains. We are going to make the neck ribbing of length 11 because we wanted it to be even. For the hands and for the waist ribbing we used 11 chains. So next make a half double crochet into the second chain from the hook and continue to make one half double crochet in each of the next 9 spaces. So now we have to insert the hook into the next chain space, yarn over, pull through and repeat it for next 2 stitches. We have 4 loops on the hook and pull through all the 3 loops. So repeat this for one more time, like we are making slip stitches by combining 3 stitches together. And now flip the pattern and skip the first 2 chain spaces and continue to make half double crochet from the 3rd chain space only at the back loop. So continue to make a 9 more half double crochet at the back loops only. And then make chain 1 and flip. Now we have to repeat the pattern all throughout the neck. Continue to make half double crochet in the next 10 chain spaces. Once we reach the neckline, we have to make a slip stitch by combining 3 stitches together and repeat this for one more time. So here I am working on the last HTC at the back loop. Now work on making the slip stitch. This is 1, 2 and 3. 3 stitches combined together make one slip stitch and repeat this for one more time. So continue working on the neck ripping, following these steps. Skip the first 2 chains and work on HTC on only at the back loops for 10 stitches. Chain 1 and flip and combine 3 stitches together to make one slip stitch, and we're going to repeat that for one more time. So I have completed the neck ripping here, so I'm at the last stitch. I'm gonna join. So I'm making the first slip stitch of combining 3 stitches together, and now we should be left with 3 more stitches. If you don't have 3 stitches, if you have 2, so it is fine, we can do the slip stitches for 2, or if you're left with 4, you can make 4 stitches together to make one slip stitch. Now I'm going to work on the HTC on back loops. Now we are going to connect the two sides of this neck wrapping. For that, make sure you match the chains stitches of each of the sides. Insert the hook into the front loop of the front side and into the back loop of the other side of the neck, and then make a slip stitch and follow this pattern for the next 10 stitches. First front loop and then onto the back loop. Yarn over, pull through the loop, and we are towards the last two stitches. So here you need to make one or two additional slip stitches to close any holes at the joining end. I'm making an additional slip stitch here to make sure there are no open spaces. And then make chain 1, pull up the loop very tightly, leave about 6 to 7 inches length yarn, and then cut the yarn. So I'm gonna bring in the loose end on the flip side of the sweater. So that we can weave in the loose ends towards the end. So now the neck wrapping is also complete. Let us work on attaching the sleeves. Let us arrange the sleeves and then mark the end of the sleeves using a stretch marker across the body of the sweater. And using the tapestry needle, let us start stitching the sleeves along the shoulder panel. You can follow any method you would like to do it. So insert the needle into the chain space of the shoulder panel, that is a front panel, and then into the chain space of the sleeves. So this will make one stitch together, and repeat this process. So insert the needle into the chain space of the sleeves and then into the corresponding chain space of the front panel. So we are gonna repeat this pattern all throughout to complete this attachment of sleeves. Don't apply too much tension while pulling the needle, otherwise it will shrink the joints and it will not give you a cleaner finish for the sweater. So following the same method, you can continue to stitch along the sides of the front and back panel together, and repeat the same procedure for the other sleeves, the second sleeves, as well as the body on the other side. So now let us see how to hide the loose ends and while we did the tapestry pattern. So for that we have to hide the thread into the same color. So here we're gonna hide the green yarn uh, into the green design itself. So follow the same technique for hiding the other loose ends as well, and then you can trim the excess yarn. There is another option of hiding the loose ends with a crochet hook of size less. So here I'm using a 3 mm crochet hook to hide the loose ends. I usually prefer using crochet hooks rather than the tapestry needle, and then trim the excess. So similarly hide the loose ends near the neck region as well as shoulder. We have let some loose end tail ends, right? So using the crochet hook, 3 mm crochet hook, you can hide those loose ends and then trim the excess yarn. So this is how our finished sweater looks. I personally like this pattern. I made this for Christmas, but due to some reason I was not able to post this video. And I hope you find this tutorial useful. And if you make this better, please do comment on this video. And if you find this useful, please share it with your friends and family and hit the like button. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye bye.